Hey guys, Dom Hills PT here, and coming back to you with my answer to another question, which is pre-workout and post-workout nutrition. So when we look at any of the questions, guys, as always, it is ultimately what works best for you, okay? So there's a lot of science behind pre-workout and post-workout nutrition and nutrient timing, which can be of benefit. So some of the science says if you are a higher body fat, you should have, and your goal is to drop body fat, you should avoid carbs pre-workout because your body's more insulin resistant, which means that when you have those carbs, you're going to spike your insulin too much. You're also going to release serotonin, which is the relaxant hormone in the the neurotransmitter in the brain, which causes relaxation. So the problem with having that is that when you then get to the gym an hour later, you're going to end up falling asleep, you know, just before or during your workout, and you're not going to be switched on. So what people then say is that you should have a fat and protein based meal. Why? When you have when you avoid carbs and you have fat and protein instead, the two neurotransmitters acetylcholine and dopamine are released in your brain, and these are the ones which are opposite to serotonin. So what they do is they release they make you kind of mentally switched on. They make you more alert. They, you know, really get you fired up, so your mental focus is there and you're not going to be falling asleep like you would if you had serotonin. So that's the science. Now, ultimately, guys, like I say to you, you can follow the science, but it's a case of finding what works for you. So if someone is lean or leaner, okay, and they find that they have a pre-workout meal of fats and protein and they've got no energy, okay, and they feel like they're just flagging, they can't lift as heavy and this and that, then have a carb and protein based meal, and if you find you perform better of it, go for it. If you have a carb and protein based meal but you find that it makes you feel tired and sleepy, then go and have the fat and protein based meal, okay? So we can look at the science, and science is great, but also it's a case of finding what works for the individual, finding what ultimately works for you. I personally, I get on well with both, but if I find if someone's training on high reps, you're going to need more glycogen because that is the energy source, okay, that's the majority of the time going to be used. But if you're not going to be doing as much of a high volume workout, and it's going to be kind of more shorter and sharper rather than loads of drop sets and high reps and, you know, supersets and all this other crazy stuff, or circuit based training, you might not need the carbohydrates. So why don't you just opt for a you know, some fats and protein, because the glycogen's not going to be needed as much. So like I say, you can look at the science, okay? You can say, I want to burn fat, so I'm going to have I'm going to avoid carbs, and that's going to put me in more of a fat burning state, and, you know, I'm just going to push through it. Or, you know, you can say, okay, well, I've tried the fat and protein, it doesn't make me feel great, I feel tired, I feel lethargic, the fat sits heavy on my gut when I'm trying to train, in my stomach, so all I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go for the carb and protein based meal. Because, guys, as always, if you're trying to drop body fat, be in a calorie deficit. That's the first point. If you're trying to obviously build muscle or gain weight, be in a calorie surplus. Then look at things like nutrient timing. I look at nutrient timing with a lot of my guys because I want to try and optimize their results. So if someone is trying to drop body fat with me, and you know, and they're, you know, carrying quite a lot of body fat, I will try and get them to use fat and protein as their pre-workout meal an hour before, with some green veg in there. And then obviously, if obviously they're leaner and they're trying to build some muscle, then we might go for a pre-workout meal that contains carbs and protein. But these are my guidelines I give to my clients. If a client is carrying more body fat and they say, I really don't feel good on the fat and protein, I go, doesn't matter, we're in a calorie deficit, go to the carb and protein based meal before you train, because it makes you feel good. And if it makes you feel good, guys, it means the effort you can put in when you're in the gym is going to be a lot better. So if you can work harder in the gym, the results are going to be better overall, okay? So you can follow the science, but ultimately when it comes to pre-workout nutrition, find what ultimately works for you, makes you perform best and makes you get the best out of your workout. Post-workout nutrition, for me, is always a case of one thing and one thing only. Low fat, because we want low fat, carbs and protein, okay? You want a quick digesting protein, whether that be a whey protein or whether you want to get it from a food source, and then with some carbs. Quick acting carbs, so things like caramel Snacker Jack rice cakes I use. Bananas aren't bad. White potato, white rice is a good one. Some people I know go for things like Skittles and stuff, okay? So obviously as long as they're fitted into your macronutrients, it's fine. Try and keep your post-workout nutrition low fat, because obviously it will slow down the digestion, which isn't what we want. Also try and keep it low fiber. So if, like me, I'm a massive fan as well of post-workout, I go for cereal. Try and keep that low fiber. So don't be going for bran flakes. Go for a little bit more kind of, some frosted shreddies or something, okay? So post-workout's pretty simple. Low fiber, low fat, carbs, protein, okay? Pre-workout, take what I've said today and use it in a way that find a way that works best for you. Fat and protein or carbs and protein, find which one makes you feel better before you work out and during your session, and don't overcomplicate things, okay? Keep the questions coming as always, but Dom Hills PT, for now, peace out.